Hey guys, it's Blane. I'm here today. I've been playing Anthem for the past week, and I just wanted to give you guys my average Joe review of what I think of the game as a casual, everyday gamer. So everything that you're going to hear in this video is my honest opinion of what I think of the game as an average person, just a casual gamer that just goes about and plays the game and enjoys it, but not in the professional capacity where I review games or anything like that. This is just my opinion. So with that being said, let's get started. So with this review, I do want to keep it as spoiler free as possible, and that's mainly due to the fact that I have not gotten to the end game with the 10 hours of early access that I have, so I can't give you guys spoilers because I don't have them. So with that being said, as soon as you launch the game, you go into the opening cinematic that kind of lays the foundation for the game. It gives you a brief little bit of backstory into why you are where you are and what's taking place as soon as you launch the game. During one of the opening cinematic moments, your character will be thrown to the ground of the environment that you're in, and it's at this point that the first little bit of customization comes into play, because you will get to choose whether you're going to be a female character or a male character, because it gives you the option for that voice. We can't see your character yet, so you only have the voice customizations. Then the camera whips around, and that's when you are able to start kind of moving your character. This point of the game is just like any other like action RPG type game that's been out for the last 10-15 years. You move your character around, it shows you how to jump, it shows you kind of how to get a feel for your character, also shows you your HUD for the very first time, your objectives in the top corner, and even your directional radar in the very top that's common in games now. So the opening cinematic kicks back in and kind of tells and wraps up the rest of the opening story that's going to set up the entire story that you're going to be playing through for the rest of the game. Then you go into the first real gameplay that you can encounter. It gives you a real feel of how the game's going to play. It gives you your abilities, your HUD's on the screen, you're taking directions, and you are completing objectives. During this first mission or series of kind of objectives that you are completing, it's going to give you the rest of the quote-unquote tutorial of the game. It's going to explain how to fly, how to strafe when you are flying, and things like that. The only thing that I didn't like about this, and this is going to be the first real review point of this video, is it doesn't tell you necessarily how to use some of your abilities. And what I mean by that is it doesn't effectively tell you how to use your abilities to set up combos or things like that, or elemental damage and things like that. And so I wish they would have done just a little bit of time explaining that in the tutorial, just so you can jump into the game and just tackle it a little bit easier, instead of figuring out how to set the combos up, what's going to be the best way for me and my teammates to set each other up for success and complete the mission as efficiently as possible. So after this first little tutorial kind of introduction mission, you're pretty much going to be leveled up immediately to level 2, and you will be able to unlock your first javelin, and that's going to be your armor classes. There's 4 in the game, and right off the bat you can choose any one that you want to. So that's really cool, so you're not stuck to the one that the game decides is best for you at the beginning. You get to choose which one you want to do. So you unlock your first one at level 2, which is pretty much immediately in the game. Your second suit you unlock at level 8, third suit at level 16, and the fourth suit at level 26. And what's cool about this is you can have multiple suits and different loadouts for each suit. So depending on the battle that you're going to do, or what your buddy has on, you can change your loadout, your javelin class, and things like that to tackle the mission as best possible. So speaking about the beginning of the game, the opening cinematic kind of picks up in the middle of a story, and it ends in the middle of the story, so you really don't know what's going on other than what you just saw, but you have no context. And I think they did that by design, because the first couple missions that you play through really unfolds more of the backstory, the story that you're in, and kind of where the story is going to go. And the way they do that is by 3 different types of missions. So they have critical missions, which are like your main story missions. They have contract missions, and then they have character missions. I think the story itself is really good. There's a lot of complexity to the story, and you unlock that by doing these different types of missions, and there's no real set way to do it. You can kind of do them in any order you want to, those character or contract missions, or even the critical missions. Sometimes the critical missions are to do some of the other side missions just to progress the story along. So it's really cool. The cutscenes are top notch. The voice acting I thought was really good, and like, I don't know if it's mocap or just strictly all animation, but the cutscenes are really good. The facial expressions on the characters as they're doing their cutscenes are really good and top notch. It kind of pulls you in, makes you want to know more of the story. And a little bit more about that is sometimes I'll find myself playing some of these missions, not necessarily trying to knock the missions off, but I want to know what's going to be the next part of the story by doing this mission. So they did a really good job of encapsulating the story in such a way that makes it interesting, and you kind of forget that you're playing a game because you're trying to unlock that next piece of the story. Now to talk a little bit more about the actual gameplay, the things that you can control. Like I said, it was very fun. I still think it's fun. I can't wait for the full release of the game. So the first couple missions, you're still kind of learning your characters and how you can use it and different things that you can do. But it kind of falls into the same thing as some other games in the recent past of some of the first couple missions just feel like it's the same thing as what you just did in the last mission. It's kind of fly here, do this objective, clear out the enemies. Missions do vary in length and difficulty. Some don't take but maybe 10 minutes to complete, and that's from spawning in at the beginning all the way to the last scene where you are getting your rewards for completing the expedition. Some missions take a little bit longer depending on how you and your team work together and find different things. They have some missions that have I don't know what Anthem is necessarily calling them, but like mini bosses or environmental bosses, dungeon bosses, things like that. So it takes a little bit of time to complete those. But overall, the missions do feel fun and rewarding to take place in, even though sometimes it does feel like you were doing the same thing as the past mission. And that's just for the lower end missions. I haven't gotten to the end game, so I don't know how it's going to progress. So on the back of the story missions, they also have just like a free play where you jump into the environment and you kind of can explore and do what you want to. As soon as you do this, there is one that is a longer type mission, and it gives you the objective to go and discover and explore different things. But in order to do that, you have to free play and do other missions to unlock certain requirements that will allow you to go into these places. I don't want to, give too many spoilers away on that, but it does give you the objectives to go explore places. But in order to get to those places and unlock them, you have to complete like kill quest, so many kills, difficult level kills such as elites and things like that. You have to find treasure chests, you have to find hidden things or collectibles. As soon as you do that, it will unlock that area and you can go. So you can kind of do that in the background as you're doing other missions and you won't even know about it. Also in free play, as you're flying around the map, there are different areas that you can go to, and you can find big like environmental bosses that have a ton of HP that can do a lot of damage to you as well. So I thought it was really fun and challenging to be at such a low level, flying in and finding a couple of these and working as a team to take these out. It just felt really rewarding. And it does drop, you know, a higher level, you know, equipment or things like that on the ground once you do defeat these bosses. I know I was playing and I got a rare little thing pop up, so I got something very special for completing this, even though I was a lower ranked character. The map itself is huge, and I'm not talking about just length and width of the map. I'm also talking about the depth and the height of the map, because it, you know, you can travel as far as your eye can see around you, but you can also fly really high in the air, and you can actually go underwater to find different hidden caves and things like that. And there are some treasure chests that are hidden underwater. So the map itself is huge and just absolutely beautiful. It's kind of breathtaking in some of these firefights to look around, and you're fighting on this cliffside with all of these crazy creatures that are on the screen, and you see all these elemental lightning strikes and fireballs and things like that, and it just within the scene, it just is so cool to look at. It's probably one of the better looking games that I've seen in a very long time. As you go about the game and doing missions and the free play and things like that, you will unlock the loot, as I said just a little bit ago, and it has white loot for lower levels, then green loot, blue loot, and then purple loot based on your level. And I think you can do white and green all up until level 10. As soon as you hit level 10, you'll start getting some blue ones thrown in there. Up to level 20, I think you can get some purples thrown in there. So it's a combination of your armor and your abilities and your weapons that determine your overall level, and that's going to help you advance further into the game. Each weapon that you get is there's pistols, there's light machine guns, sniper rifles, shotguns, and things like that, and each one plays just a little bit different. You might get a loadout that has a little bit more damage per second in this sniper rifle than the other one. I know I had one that it shot like flaming bullets that exploded on impact against the enemy, so I thought that was really cool. Then your abilities, you have different classifications that have modifications to them. So different things, you might get plus 3 to 10% on your elemental loadouts and get more damage from your ice or from your fireballs or your lightnings. And so you can mix and match the combination of your abilities and your weapons, and then all of the buffs that you get to really change the way that you're going to play the game. I really thought that the early grind that I've done for weapons was really satisfying. I've never been one to really do hardcore grinding for weapons or stat rolls and things like that, but with the way that it's doing your abilities and you can get different buffs and things like that, it makes it interesting when you're wanting a specific ability with a specific buff, and that would complete the loadout that you're going for, and then you don't get it, so you try to work towards getting that very specific one to make the ultimate build that you're going for. That was really satisfying to do, so I really look forward to grinding a little bit more and perfecting my loadouts. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I really do like Anthem. I think it's fun. I think the playability factor is there. Some negatives of the game, sometimes the missions do feel a little tedious, I would say, because it does feel like you're doing the same thing, but with that being said, you are doing a lot of missions, different environments, different enemy types and things like that. So it is tedious, but it's not as bad as it could be, or as bad as some other games that have done this as well. And glitches, I haven't really encountered too many glitches. I know in the early demo I had the infinite loading screen. They took care of that. I've never had any problems during this early gameplay of any kind of loading screen errors. I was in one mission just this one time, and this is the only time that it's happened, but the game actually kind of froze on me, and so it forced the game to shut down, and I had to launch back into it. And doing that, coming into the menu, it says, hey, you had a previous expedition going on, do you want to jump back in? And I did, and it put me exactly where the game glitched out. So it wasn't too bad. It just inconvenienced me for a minute or however long it took me to load back into the game. So I know they do have some day one patches that they're going to do to improve the quality of gameplay and things like that. And so I'll be doing a kind of a breakdown of what they improved on. Friday, when it does release, I want to see exactly what's going to be in those patches, so see how it is going to affect the gameplay. So I'm actually looking forward to jumping back in and finishing out the story. Like I said, the story's got me in such a place that I really want to find out what happened, which is really, really good. And I didn't touch on this earlier, but they have a Cortex system where it kind of gives you gaps. You can find secret things around the main base that kind of give you a little bit more backstory, and then throughout the world itself you can find different artifacts that give you a little bit more of the lore of what Anthem is all about. And so I'm really interested in jumping back in and finding out how the story is going to play out. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and let me know if you're looking forward to playing Anthem. Maybe we can team up. You can see my gamer tag on the screen most of the time, so if not, it is the same on Xbox as my channel name here on YouTube, which is Blane Blizzle. So I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the week, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Thanks, guys.